Hi, seventh grade, day number 19, and today we are going to be calculating pay. So here we go. Okay, so a lot of you in your Smart Futures, I think they have fixed a lot of them. Used to, you would see things that how much, you would see hourly pays rather than an annual pay in Smart Futures, but I think they've tried to fix a lot of that. So an annual pay, annual means year. So that would be how much money you would make per year. Hourly is just breaking it down into how much you would make per hour. Now, what we have to consider with those numbers is that tax has not been taken out of them. So last year in sixth grade, if you were here, we did do pay statements and we figured out how much money you made, but then we also took the taxes out of there. We looked at all of that, and we're gonna kind of do a little refresh on some of those. But first, all right, when you work a full-time job, typically you work 40 hours per week. I say typical because it's not always the same. My full-time job is 37.5 hours per week is what I'm required to work. Do I work more than that? Yep, I usually do, because I'm almost always at school early, but usually at 2:45 I'm out the door because I get here early in the morning and I want to go home. I will say currently it is a Sunday and there's no heat in this building and I'm about frozen making these videos, but it's besides the point. So typical full-time job, 40 hours per week. Now, if you work more than 40 hours per week, you can get overtime. And when you get overtime, they're going to pay you 1.5 times your normal hourly wage. Sounds great. What happens is the more money you make, it seems like the more money you take because you're put into a higher tax bracket and more of your money might be taken out for taxes, but you know, whatever. So gross pay is the amount of money that you earn before taxes and deductions are taken out. That's the number I'd love to get. Never going to get it. Net pay is the amount of money you actually receive after your taxes and deductions are subtracted from your gross pay. So that's how much money actually is put into my bank every 2 weeks. That's what I get. Now, to calculate your gross pay, if you have an hourly rate, we're going to take the hourly rate and we're going to multiply it by the number of hours worked. That's going to give us our gross pay. So for example, move me out of here. If you make $15 an hour and you worked 30 hours in a week, what is your gross pay? You're going to take the 15, the hourly rate, try to color code everything for y'all, times the 30 hours, and you'll get a number. What's 15 times 30? 450. So that's your gross pay, not how much you actually get. So just to go over some other ones, if you make $20 an hour and you work 32 hours, what is your gross pay? You would take 20 times 32 and you're going to get $640. Okay, and then here's just some other ones just to make sure. 15 times 40 and 17 per hour times 30 hours per week, $510. Okay, you see signs maybe on the interstate or at Sheetz or somewhere that say, you know, like now hiring up to $22 an hour. Well, that can give you an idea of how much you would make in a typical week, typical year. Now, if you work more than 40 hours per week and you get overtime, y'all, I don't get overtime. I'm known as a salaried employee, meaning it doesn't matter if I work 37.5 hours or I work 50 hours in 1 week, I'm still going to get paid the same thing. But if you have a job where you can get overtime, you're going to take the hourly rate, multiply it by 1.5, so 1.5 times, and you'll get your overtime rate. So if you had a job that made $15 per hour, you're going to take 15 times 1.5, and you're going to find out that from hour 40 and 1 minute, so 1 minute after that, you're making $22.50 per hour. That's nice. If you made $32 an hour, your overtime rate would be $48 an hour. I like it. $12 an hour, you would be making $18, and at $17 an hour, you'd make $25.50 in overtime. Okay, so take the hourly rate, multiply it by 1.5. Now, if your job only has an hourly rate and you want to figure out how much that is per year, because on your daily question every day, I have how much you make per year, we can do that. First question is, how many weeks are in a year? A lot of people didn't know that, 52. So we're going to take your hourly rate, multiply it by 40, because that's the typical number of hours a person works per week, and then we're going to multiply that by 52, because that's the number of weeks in a year. Now, is this going to be 100% accurate? No. You might not have 40 hours in 1 week. You might have overtime 1 week. You might take days off that you don't get paid for. Okay, this is just kind of a idea of how much you would get. So this is a very random number, I know. But if you made $32.44 per hour per year, you're going to take that number, multiply it by 40, multiply it by 52. You're going to make $67,475.20 per year. Again, taxes haven't been taken out. Okay, so if you made $23 per hour, because I see those billboards, I feel like, out on 81 sometimes, $23, and I'm going to multiply that by, I'm going to show you, 23 times 40 times 52. That's how much you would make per year. Okay, and then here's just some other numbers just to give you an idea of what they are. $20 per hour, you can make $41,000. $15 per hour, you can make $31,200 per year. Do these numbers sound good? Maybe. That's going to come, I think it's tomorrow's lesson. Honestly, I'm not really sure. Okay, so now you have an annual number, but you don't know how much it is per hour. So you would take your annual amount, and now we're going to do the opposite of multiplying. We're going to divide. We're going to divide by the 52, the number of weeks in a year, and divide by the 40 hours per week, and we're going to figure out how much that would be per hour. So if it's $42,250, got rid of my calculator for whatever reason, $42,250, well, that's a whole lot more. I'm going to divide by 52, oh my gosh, divide by 40, and that's $20.31 per hour. So we could do this practice. I'm just going to give you the answers on here. I mean, you can always go back and look to see how to do it, but you're taking the amount per year, divide by 52, divide by 40, and you'll find out how much that is per hour. Okay, so then the taxes and deductions, and this is different for every state, has their own amounts. Like they might not have local taxes, they might not have state taxes, but I can tell you that my paycheck, I get about 38% taken out for taxes and deductions, because I have some things that are optional, like a health savings account, a retirement account is optional. But like a full-time career type job, it's typically 30 to 35% of your gross pay is taken away for deductions. So what that means is if your gross pay is $500 for the week and 30% is taken out for whatever, we're going to figure out that you would only get so many dollars. So I'm going to take the gross pay times the tax percent, and I find out $150 is taken for deductions. Then what I have to do is take that gross pay and subtract the deductions, and I'm going to find out how much I actually get paid. So 500 minus the 150 is $350. It stinks, right? Imagine if you had a $2,000 paycheck and they take out 30%, you are going to have $1,400. Yikes. All right, so here is an idea of some numbers. Okay, if you had $40,000, 32% is gone for deductions. It's a two-step problem, so 40,000 times 32% is 12,800. And then you have to subtract that from that 40,000, and you're going to get about $27,200 per year. Well, that really makes it sound real bad, doesn't it? An $80,000 job, you're actually only getting $52,000 if you have 35% in deductions. And the last one, if you made $255 in a week and 30% is gone for deductions, you only get $178.50. Then come tax time, you might get some of that back, but not all of it, that's for sure. I mean, you got to pay taxes. All right, so then what we're trying to do is to see if this is going to fit in your lifestyle, and that's really going to be what happens tomorrow. But you have to look at your income and expenses. So what bills do I have to pay every month? Am I going to have enough money to pay for all of those things? Plus, have some extra money, because if you have it down to that dollar, there's things that come up. Like you might have to buy 4 new tires. They're not cheap. You might have something that comes up you have to pay for. You want to make sure you are spending less than you make. If you're spending more, you got to make some choices. You got to do something else. So you are going to have your career of the day today is a detective and criminal investigator. They will conduct investigations related to suspected violations of federal, state, or local laws to prevent or solve crimes. Need to have some on-the-job experience or an associate's degree. And you make $58,440 to $142,520 per year. That second number, well, that's higher than mine, but sounds pretty good. Okay, so once you have that done, you have a Google form today of calculating pay. What's the typical amount of hours a person works in a full-time job? How do you calculate the overtime rate? Again, if you're not sure what these are, go back and look at the slides. It's all there. There are 12 questions. Once you are finished with that, I would check to make sure you are not missing any work. Make sure things have been turned in, because again, I do not check them if you don't mark them as done. All right, that's all I've got today. Hope you have a fantastic day.